Yo, yo, yo. Guys, it's been a while. Hope everyone had a happy new year. And to start the year here, do a video on AMC. Now, this one is going to be pretty interesting here. So, as we know, AMC has been pretty much just stagnant trading ever since this dump we had in August, right? And we can call this phase here some sort of accumulation, right? Accumulation doesn't have to be a stock. So right now it's descending, right? It doesn't mean it's distribution. Accumulation right over here bounces back and forth between a parallel channel or even a descending channel. And right now we're heading closer and closer to the POI in February. You guys know how that works. Is every 2 months we have that small 13-day window where AMC typically experiences volatility, but it doesn't have to experience volatility, right? This last POI we had didn't have any volatility because AMC is still in that accumulation phase. So when you're in accumulation, you're just going to trade back and forth, and these ranges of percentages happening between that parallel channel can vary, go back and forth. AMC has only experienced heavy volatility on its chart to the upside 5 times. The other ones, or 6 times, I'm sorry. The other ones that are downside typically experience about a 50% decrease, which also happens inside the POI that we track. Now, here's the thing about this video, guys. So, taking a look at market cycles and how stocks typically rinse and repeat algorithm pattern structures every couple of years, or even on the micro charts, you're going to see it happen a lot of times in the crypto markets. But in this case, we are tracking a macro cycle rotation with this indicator I have right here. This indicator I made is called All-in-One, and the cool thing about it is, well, you get to put in a good set list of stocks and then compare their rate of change over a set period of time. And right now, I want to take a look at some of these stocks that are beating the overall markets here starting off the year, because these stocks have a correlation of going up right before the January squeeze that took place pretty much in the entire market. We can see that down here. Okay, so change the color here. These stocks right now, and I put a good bit here, but we're going to be focusing on about 5 of these. So we have Tilray, CTRM, Playboy, ADD. They changed their ticker. Color Star Technology. If you guys heard of that, these guys, thing, were going up around the same time. And some of the other ones that haven't quite done anything yet, they're still in accumulation or exiting accumulation, going into a period of either reaccumulation or just going to advance. And right now, AMC is actually, these are just 20, right? But on the other chart where we track 100 stocks, AMC is still trading at the bottom. If we look at the last, I believe anywhere from the last 250 to 500 days, so almost 2 years, been trading at that bottom range at negative 96%. So we're seeing a lot of correlation right now with these stocks going up. I mean, take a look at, let's go over each one. We got Playboy. Okay, developing a pretty parabolic move. From 50-cent range going up to 130 right now, a little bit over 150%. That's just one, right? We take a look at the last 10 days. We're averaging about 50% return on that. Tilray had a nice little pump today. Okay, starting to see that climb back up. So all these stocks that are not descending, they're in some form of accumulation, or even if they were in distribution, they have that relief rally that's taking place right now. So what we call a POI, volatility zone, and they're all climbing, right? So the correlation here between these stocks and AMC, GME, these other stocks that later came up and started to rally in January is that, well, these guys went before. These guys, you can see right over here. And here's the cool thing about this indicator, right? So let's take Nikola, for example, and this is how we can kind of compare these cycle rotation and these sectors that kind of, turn around. We have Nikola in June, had a nice little rally. I'm taking that POI. From that POI to the current time right now, we're at about 200 days, okay? And this is a good piece of information, right, that I can then use to see if we'll have any stocks repeated the sequence, right? Because if we take a look at Nikola back here in baby blue, okay, to the current time, we're looking at, well, the rally happens in June 2020, and then everything starts to squeeze in January 2021. And so far, we're seeing these other stocks do that. Dogs, right over here, a little bit early, but we're sitting at about 130, right? 130 climbs up and comes all the way back down. Same thing that's happening right here. Within that sequence, Dogs goes up. We also have Mara climbing up to a range at about 130 here. It's down right now because it already had its rally. And there are a few other stocks over here, right? OCGN is the one that it's picking up traction right now. And that's the one that was kind of the winner here early January. You can see it goes all the way up to 700, similar to GME on that 10-bar calculation parameter we're using. So with that, with this information, again, looking at cycle correlation, there is a lot of correlation here of similar stocks. And if we take a look at this meme basket, the way algorithms work, there is a good chance that we start to see a lot of these stocks rally again. So in this basket, right? And AMC is in there. AMC is in there going into January 2021. And it just goes with the cycle, right? In that we have that POI coming up. It's I believe the date it starts February 9th. And that is where we have that volatility window that we normally track, right? So if the markets repeat this section over here, the cycle little section that's happening right now, which we are seeing in the crypto markets, we're starting to see these cryptocurrencies rally. I know today there was I believe like a FUD article or something made the crypto markets take a dump. But that's typically the way the crypto markets work. There's always some kind of catalyst that flushes and liquidates positions very quickly, just back and forth. And very similar correlation to this section of, at least the AMC chart, but just the overall markets, really. There's a lot of correlation here. So right now, we are seeing Dogs right now is the one that's breaking out. If I pull up the other chart, we can take a look at more stocks that are doing this. But coming on now to look at just the technicals and everything else that has to do with AMC. Okay. And we're going to be pulling up some patterns here, guys. Okay. So some pattern, and these patterns they're both fractals and 1-to-1. This one is very close to being a 1-to-1 pattern. That looks very similar to AMC. And I had already talked about this before on this most recent POI here, but this is Bitcoin in 2018. Now, Bitcoin in 2018 had a very similar setup to AMC. It had, I'm going to put these side to side so you guys can see this, but it had the same fake out dump. You press the space bar and you go right back to another chart. Pretty weird stuff. Okay. So Bitcoin in 2018 had a similar fake out to AMC. And the cool thing about this pattern here is very close to being almost an exact match because of the levels. So the levels are very important, right? This is right before it dumps in this distribution phase. It has one last pump, right? Pumps, dumps heavy, and it accumulates in this range before going up to its new highs. So similar to AMC, some of these sections within this accumulation phase we can compare, well, this wedge that's currently developing, right? These patterns are not going to look exactly the same, and we need to understand that, right? They're going to have a similar formation, but sometimes we get, for example, here on this pattern, we have a wedge developing that never comes back to that initial low that was established in the beginning. Sometimes the algorithm creates a new low, and this, what we consider the spring here, to happen sometime in the middle or towards the end of that phase. And in this case, AMC seems to be coming down and wanting to do that towards the end of the phase, very similar to January of 2021, right? So we have it creating that new low towards the end of that phase to just squeeze. And that's like pretty much the way the crypto markets work, not necessarily with Bitcoin, but the high volatility cryptocurrencies, lower cap, very similar to the markets, right? And you have the indices that trade on this trajectory, and it's pretty smooth. But with, extreme volatility stocks, meme stocks, you're going to have a wider range between that parallel channel. So AMC's coming down below. It's down 8% with the entire market. The entire market's taking a dump, but it looks to be some kind of fake out in the markets right now. That's what it seems to be before the markets turn around. It's just early in the year. You have choppiness happening, right? So if it's coming back down to create that new low, we have this coming up to potentially retest this trajectory line. Now, if it does it on the POI, we kind of narrow this down to the POI, we'd be looking at somewhere between $8 and $7. But because on this, this little phase sequence we're looking at with Bitcoin, we initially cross it and we keep going. And we go up to the first major resistance level, which is going to be at 1150. If it comes up and crosses on the POI, goes up to 1150, well, now we can see AMC wants to make that turnaround on the trajectory, finally turn bullish, because right now we don't have that. We're still seeing new lows being created pretty much every single day here, and until we get that bottom, we're not going to see that spring effect. We need to see that spring effect happen very quickly and come up, establish a level of support on the way up. And that's typically what we call a reaccumulation phase or a projector pattern, right? Looks like this. Comes back up. There's your opportunity. And then the stock starts to go and squeeze, right? Go up. And that's kind of what this pattern is calling for now. I went on the daily and it just shifted the entire pattern. Here we go. Should be looking a little bit better. Yeah, no, this thing shifted the entire pattern to the right. Dude, it does that like a lot for some reason. So here you can see the initial run up here, or maybe it didn't, and I just like stretched out, dude. Yeah, no, I don't think it did. Yeah, this is the original form of the pattern, and the thing that had caught my eye on this was the structure more than anything, right? Because it's not exactly a one-to-one pattern. I believe the Bitcoin pattern is 130 days. And the AMC tracking is like 120 or 110. So it's slightly off, but the algorithms work differently in the crypto markets and the stock market, right? We have a lot of gaps in the stock market. All right, so that's going to be the thing here with this pattern here, guys. And if AMC starts climbing below that $5 range, well, then you kind of have to let this stock do its thing. And if it's going to reach those levels, the only thing I would say that kind of plays devil's advocate here a little bit on that, if we take a look at the market cap, okay, market cap is just a way to see the true value of the stock, but it kind of hides the the splits, right? The way any sort of structure change in the chart is going to be reflected on what splits, reverse splits, or just regular splits, any sort of like the preferred shares with APE. All that is going to shift the way the chart looks, and market cap just does a good job of telling you like what the market cap was before these splits took place and stuff. Because splits typically are going to dilute, reverse splits dilute the heck out of shareholders, unfortunately. But anyways, the most important thing to track here is we're trading on support with the market cap, but look at this massive gap here. The difference with like AMC is trading at a $1.1 billion market cap, and there's a massive gap between the lows it had prior to this run up, right? The lows here at about 120 million before it had its squeeze. That's a pretty massive gap. So that's just plain devil's advocate. If you start to see the price go below that range of $5 and it keeps going lower and lower and lower, well, this would be considered a range of support if it does end up getting there. But that would not be a good sign for the year at least. If AMC starts to climb below that and this is distribution, we start to see these inverse POIs playing out, then that's just going to it's just going to be a very hard struggle for AMC to turn around fully once it goes into that dollar range, if it goes into that dollar range. So that's just the thing I would watch out for here is those levels. But overall, the trajectory here based on a lot of these patterns, what the market is doing, if this sustains itself and fully turns around on the POI and we start to see it cross these levels of resistance, because you can treat this chart the same way, right? Use your levels of support and resistance on the market cap chart. Comes back into that $2 billion market cap and starts to push back up very quickly, then that's going to be really good for AMC. And then we'll finally start to see it turn around on what is this massive pump and dump that we've had here for a little while. So that's the update, man. I think it's going to take a little bit of time here going into the next POI. We got about a month left. But once that does happen, you guys already know we track that 13-day window. We update it consistently. But in the meantime, there's just a lot of opportunity in the markets, and it's very important to understand the opportunities, but it's about being patient. And if the opportunity comes in, track the opportunity, trade your plan. All that stuff is important. As always, guys, never financial advice. This is just my outlook here and projection based on the cycle and just a little bit of a different perspective here in the markets. If you want more stock and analysis with using this approach, we do have the Discord, and that will be and redirect you to a new link down below. All right, guys, take care. See you on the next stream.